Recently, a video went viral. This video consisted of a cute little monkey called Baby Punch. This is a Japanese monkey born in the Ichikawa City Zoo. We can see that he was rejected by his mother at birth. And now the staff has given him this cute little plush soft toy. We can see in the videos that this soft toy has become his comfort companion. We can see him clinging to it constantly and just using it as a comfort person, sort of. Since then, a lot of videos were uploaded to the internet, and now we can see multiple people helping him out within the zoo. This was the first video that was sent to me by one of my friends, and he asked me to make a video about this. So I looked into it and I saw the video. I didn't even know it existed before he sent it to me. And it was heartbreaking video to watch, and I'm sure, and as I was reading the comments, I could see a lot of people shared this sentiment. This video struck up a lot of conversations ranging from the environment that he was in, his resilience, topics about loneliness, and also parental abandonment. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Ronal, a mental health practitioner from India, and today we are going to talk about a very sensitive topic, parental abandonment. As I said, it's a really sensitive topic. It can trigger you. So if you think this topic might trigger you, I would ask you to watch it at your own discretion. Before describing what parental abandonment is, I would like to talk a little bit about what is abandonment. Abandonment is an experience, perceived or real, of being left, rejected, or emotionally disconnected by someone who is important to you or who you love. The classic example can be all of your friends went out to dinner but they didn't invite you. Now you feel this sense of abandonment. It can come in various formats. It can be physical, where someone basically leaves, they're not around you anymore. It could be because of a breakup or death or disappearance. Or it can be emotional abandonment, where the person is physically present but emotionally unavailable. Or the third one could be psychological abandonment, where you don't feel seen, heard, or you don't feel supported by this person, even though you are in a relationship with them. So, abandonment is not just about that event of separation. It's about the meaning your nervous system attaches to this. We see this as, oh, I'm not chosen, I'm not safe, I'm not important to this person, and I'll always be left behind. We see this a lot with breakups, when one party breaks up with another party, and the party who is broken up with, they feel like it was because of me. I was not enough for this person, hence they left me. Now let's talk about parental abandonment. It refers to a parent failing to provide consistent physical, emotional, or psychological presence during a child's development. Again, it can happen in different ways, the ones that I described before. Basically, it could be physical abandonment, where the parent leaves the family, or maybe there was a divorce, but the parent doesn't come and see the child, or there was a death of a parent, and there maybe are not concrete emotional structures which could help the child cope with this. It could be emotional abandonment. Basically, the parent is present but is emotionally cold. The child's feelings are dismissed constantly. The basic example could be, why are you crying? Stop crying. It's not that important. Something like that. Or no comfort is provided to the child when they are distressed, when they are upset. So, when this happens, the child starts feeling like they are a burden on their family, or basically, majorly on their parents. The third is psychological abandonment, where the parent prioritizes work or their addictions or another relationship over their relationship with the child. The child's needs come second, never the first priority, basically. Or there is unpredictable caregiving. So now I've discussed abandonment as well as parental abandonment. The interesting element here is parental abandonment hurts more than any other relationship. And here's why. Parental abandonment threatens our survival, not just love. As children, we are biologically wired to depend on our parents, on our early caregivers. So we don't register parental abandonment as, oh, they don't like me. We register it as, I am not safe anymore. This triggers a survival alarm, and now it is embedded in our nervous system. So then we also project it with all of our other relationships. But when we go through a breakup or a platonic relationship breakup, or you quit your job and you're not friends with your colleagues anymore, that separation doesn't necessarily trigger this survival alarm. We feel bad, we grieve that relationship. Of course, we might be hurting, but it doesn't usually trigger this survival alarm within us. Next, they shape your sense of self. So, parents are basically like mirrors. They teach us, or from them we learn, am I lovable? Am I important? Do my feelings matter? When a parent abandons physically, emotionally, psychologically, the child often internalizes it as something must be wrong with me. That is why my parent has left, or my parent doesn't care because I am not enough. Usually, this happens because maybe you won't like the term here, but as children, we are really narcissistic. We make everything about us. And then we hit a developmental stage where we learn that other people also matter, other people's feelings matter. So we basically are not narcissistic after that. But before that, everything is about us. We feel like whatever is happening around us is because of us. So maybe in a lot of situations, the parents are busy because of some financial issues and they are unable to give that kind of attention and love to the child. The child might interpret this as they don't have time for me because I am not enough. They don't love me is because something is wrong with me. Next, you had no choice. As adult, we have a choice in our relationship. We can walk away from that relationship, we can create boundaries, or we can choose differently. But as children, we don't have that choice. We are completely dependent on our early caregivers, basically on our parents. So, the helplessness of that powerlessness is what makes this wound feel really profound. It hurts us way more than it would hurt with any other relationship. Then it becomes our blueprint. Our early caregiver relationships become templates for our friendships, for our romantic relationships, for our relationships with authorities, and also our relationship with ourselves. So, if the original blueprint includes inconsistency or abandonment, our nervous system may just expect it from other people as well, basically from every other relationship that you have. Now, the next point is a little bit complicated. It's about grief related to this relationship. No matter whether the parent is passed or passed away or is there, there is some level of grief that is attached to this if the child feels abandoned. Basically, when we have gone through a breakup or a platonic breakup, we grieve that person. But when it is with parents, we are grieving a childhood that we didn't have, or the version of that parent that we didn't get. So it's not just that we are grieving this separation or this perceived separation with the parent, but we are also grieving other elements along with it. Hence, it's a little bit more complicated than when we grieve other relationships. Now, here I'm not trying to call anybody out or blame any parent. I'm just sort of trying to describe what happens when a child feels abandoned. Usually, parents don't even realize that their actions are actually getting perceived by their children as abandonment. So maybe sometimes it is completely unknowingly that the parent has done something and hence the child now feels abandoned physically, emotionally, or psychologically. At the end of the day, both of them are doing their best. Again, I'm not justifying certain parents who do it deliberately. I'm not talking about the outliers. Sometimes parents are really unable to do it for n number of reasons, and naturally the kids perceive that as abandonment. So now, I hope all of this makes sense, and I hope I have not triggered or offended anybody so far. Now, as Gabor Mate, who is this very renowned physician, says, we are not broken goods, we can be fixed. Hence, this is where healing comes into the picture. So, now I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can heal ourselves from this parental abandonment. I'm going to try to talk in two parts. Sort of, one part will be about how adults can cope with parental abandonment, and second would be sort of how new or future parents, or what new or future parents can do so that their children don't feel this way. Okay, so then what can adults do to cope with parental abandonment? Healing with parental abandonment isn't about just getting over it, because it's something that has been so intertwined into who we are, what our personality is, what does our nervous system look like. We need to update our nervous system in order to start this healing process. For that, firstly, we need to name this wound correctly. Usually, what we do is we dismiss it. We just say, it was a fine childhood. It was not that bad. Other people have so much worse. Instead of that, we can say, I was emotionally alone and my needs weren't met consistently, and that's what it was, my childhood. It is important that we make this clear distinction, we clearly lay it out for ourselves so that we stop that self blaming. It wasn't because you did something or because you're not lovable that your parents did this. They abandoned you emotionally, physically, or psychologically. So that distinction helps in reducing sort of the self blame, and then it puts it into a picture of like, okay, I can see it now, and then let's figure out what is the next layer in healing. Next would be in conjunction with the earlier one is separate their limitation with your worth. Children, as I said before, we make everything personalized. So we feel like it was our mistake or something was wrong with us, hence our parents didn't give us what we needed. It could be simply that the parents were immature or unavailable, had other things going on, were overwhelmed, or traumatized themselves. Usually, that's also what happens. Their parents did that to them, that's what they learned, and now they are just sending it to the next generation unknowingly. So, once we recognize that there is a clear distinction between this, again, continuing with the first point, is they weren't able to give you something, but it wasn't because something was lacking in you, that you were doing something wrong. There's a clear distinction with that. And I feel like as we grow older, we recognize we somewhere try to put ourselves into their shoes. We realize that our parents are not superheroes and they also make mistakes, as we also do make mistakes. So we sort of come into this space of like, I understand, but I still was hurt from that experience. Next is work on your attachment. Repair your attachment style. If you think your attachment style has is something that is not serving you anymore, you can use therapy or ask professionals to help you identify the one that you have right now, and they will give you better ways to sort of repair this attachment pattern. I also have a video on this. You can check that video out as well if you're interested. Next is notice your patterns. Abandonment wounds usually show up as overgiving to avoid that feeling of abandonment, testing partners, or hyper independence, or emotional shutdowns, and panic when someone pulls away. Awareness about this sort of interrupts the repetition. If you know that you're doing this because you're afraid that this person will abandon you, you might want to have a conversation with them or might want to go inside and check, why am I feeling like this? Next, which is one of the most important one out of this all, like this entire list, is it is very important that we learn to co-regulate as an adult. So if this is something that you are not received as a child, you can still build it. We can still build this by choosing emotionally responsive individuals, by practicing how to express your needs, and by tolerating self closeness with another person, by slowly letting them in, and then you learning how to co regulate with this adult who is exactly or close to what you want and need. Now, let's talk about the part two. What can new or future parents do to make sure that this is not passed along to their next generation? Now, the good news here is preventing emotional abandonment does not require perfection. It just requires consistency and constant repair. So, the first is always put emotional presence over material provisions. Children don't measure love by how many toys you give them, or if you're paying their bills or fees or not, or if you're giving them expensive vacations. Of course, we need to do that for children, but they don't really care about how many expensive gifts you give them. They care more about if you're giving them attention and if you're really looking at them and giving them what they need and their needs are taken care of. They measure love by, do my parents really see me? Do my parents respond to me when I'm distressed? Or do my parents feel uncomfortable with my emotions? Being present matters more than whatever gifts that you will give them. I mean, you can also go back to your own childhood and maybe corroborate this with your own children if you have children currently. You probably were the most happiest when your parents spent time with you over a giant truck or a Barbie doll, something like that. I mean, we need them, of course, as children. We do want gifts, but that's not, you can't replace attention with materials, is what I'm trying to say. Next is another very important one, validate their feelings before correcting them. Instead of, a lot of people, a lot of parents directly say, why are you crying? Why are you screaming? Instead of that, parents can try to say, I understand that you're upset. I can see that you're upset. I'm here for you, but what you're doing is not right. I am validating your feelings. They have a lot of them, but still what you're doing is wrong and hence we need to fix that. So what this does is, kids are very reasonable. You have to be reasonable with them. If you validate them and then tell them that what they're doing is incorrect, they usually listen and then they don't do it again. Another very important one is be predictable. Consistency creates safety. So keep your promises. If you're going to, if you have said that I'm going to be here at at this time, be there. Try to be there at that time. Or if you are going to be absent or not going to be there for XYZ, tell them the reason for it. Maybe you have work, maybe you have other responsibilities which cannot be not taken care of. So I'm not going to be here. And then maybe try to not suddenly emotionally withdraw. That is also taken as a huge abandonment from the kid's perspective. So when the parents are predictable, they're keeping up their promises, children usually handle the separation better, right? You, if you're going to work, if you're going somewhere else, they handle it well, as opposed to if you just randomly go and then never tell them why you're going. Another most important one is work on your own wounds. Usually we have also felt this kind of feeling from the from our own parents, and then unknowingly we take it to our children. So it is important that we stop, we look at all of this, and then we decide that we are going to heal from this. So once you're more aware of it, once you're more ready and willing to face your own wounds, it is less likely that you will pass it on to your children. So all of the information that I've described so far here, in no way, shape, or form I'm blaming anybody, I'm calling anybody out. I'm just putting this in a sort of description where we understand all points of views, where I'm talking again in generalized form. Usually parents really just don't know what they're doing. It is one of the toughest jobs according to me. It's really tough. I don't know how parents do it. But also from kids' perspective, it is obvious and natural for them to feel this way. So, if there is a balance from both sides, maybe going forward we won't be experiencing this much abandonment. And again, I would like to reiterate Gabor Mate's sentence that we are not broken goods and we can heal. We don't need to be perfect, we just need to keep learning and evolving. Parental abandonment is something a lot of individuals experience, and unknowingly we start behaving the same way that we have seen with our parents. It's a very sensitive topic, it's a very layered topic. There are a lot of elements involved in this, and I hope I have tried to put this information in a format that is easily digestible, easily understanding, without it being too triggering or too offensive to certain individuals. If I have, I would like to apologize. That was not my intention. Um but yeah, do let me know what you think about this entire video. It was a very different video for me to film. Please let me know your thoughts about this entire video. Please let me know if I've missed anything, or if you would like to add something to the conversation in the comment section down below. And if you did like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll meet you the next time I put out a video. Bye bye.